You join me at the start of the Worcester Way, a loop around Worcester, 20k in total. And so on my long run today, I'll be completing that loop. No pace goals or anything like that. This is my deload week, so I'm just gonna have some fun with it, explore the sights and sounds of Worcester. And while I'm running, I want to break down some tips on how to avoid marathon disappointment, especially if it's your first time, as though I'm not a coach, though I'm not elite, I've had an experience where my 2023 marathon was a bit of a shocker. And so yeah, I want to make sure that you have a better time than I did. Cheeky little bit here, easy to miss on the route. So tip number 1, have a goal time in mind. Unless you're just looking to finish, which is a huge achievement on its own, have a goal time and decide it early into your training. Because to just complete a marathon, long runs at easy pace, watching zone 2 heart rate, it's all good. But if you have a time that you have your heart set on, you need to train at that pace, at least a little bit. Because expecting to suddenly bust out a sub 4, as I did try to do in 2023, without ever training at that pace, some people might be able to do it. But I think to have confidence at that pace during the race, you need to implement it into your training. So get a goal time in mind and stick to it, because it's easy to become super ambitious towards the later stages, towards the taper, where you're feeling really good, and go, no, maybe I can go 10 minutes faster. Stick to your original goal, and if you think you've got more to give at mile 20, then speed up. Or, as is probably going to happen, stay at that pace, because it's suddenly going to become so much harder. Lock number 1 of the Worcester-Birmingham Canal. If you know, you know. Tip number 2, account for GPS drift and also maneuvering around people. So on the day of the marathon, you're likely not going to run the optimal racing line, so there will be additional distance covered. And so if you're training for a specific time, say sub 4, and you're locked in at that pace where 26.2 miles, 42.2k comes in dead on 4 hours, you're unlikely to make it. You're probably going to come 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes short. So if you're hell-bent, determined to get that time, factor that into your training pace. Aim for 3:56, aim for 3:55, or you may come away disappointed. What a glorious place next to Worcester Cathedral for a not so glorious accident. My little water has leaked, so it looks like I've had an accident. Great stuff, great stuff. Not a good look, 5k into the run, but a good looking cathedral. For those tracking Jazz's journey, I'll give her a big shout out here, as at this moment here, at the finish line of the Pitchcroft Park Run, she got a brand new PB. After a lot of training, a lot of rehab, she shaved off 59 seconds and just kept getting faster and faster. What a menace. K-Pax Bridge, brand new bridge that they built in Worcester, and it's time for some trail. Not sure how safe this is going to be after the rain, but hey, I'll keep recording, because if I go down, at least I've got it on video. Trail shoes, yes, good choice. Last time I did this, I was in Nova Blast 3s, and it was a slippery one. And you're right next to the stream, Wanna? Cheers, thanks. Wonder if they're doing it the other way. Where are we? From the park we come to our old friend the canal. A bit of the canal, but we'll soon hop off it in a moment. And then we'll be doing the Wild One route, a little bit of the route. If you've seen that. So as quickly as we got on the canal, we're heading back off it. And now we're heading to the home of the Black Bed Joggers, my run club. We're gonna sneak stealthily by the side, the trail side, and yeah, that's where the Wild One takes place. So that's a 10-lap marathon. You can do it in teams, which is advised, or you can do it solo, that I did in 2023. That's not advised. I'm not monitoring my heart rate, but these trails are making me work harder than I thought they were gonna do. It is quite muddy. Again, made the right choice here. Trail shoes for the win. And here is actually the final bit of the Wild One route. The trees have been trimmed down, so I didn't recognize it at first. But yeah, if you ever do the Wild One multi-lap marathon, this is where you'll try and do your finish line sprint. Back to these marathon tips. If it's your first time, you may be tempted to rely solely upon pacers. Now, pacers are fantastic. And latching onto one at the end of my previous marathon, where I went sub 4, was great. He dragged me across that line. However, I'd say don't make it your only tactic, because pacers are popular, especially around that 4-hour mark, 4:30, 5-hour mark. And you'll find a lot of people this way, a lot of people have the same idea. So be prepared to run on your own and don't panic if that happens. What I suggest is keeping the pacer in your sight a good 80, 100 meters away and just relax a bit. Because if you're next to the pacer throughout the race, you'll notice that at water stations, for example, it can get incredibly congested and frustrating. People suddenly stop. Accidents can happen. So I'd say just keep them in your sight, don't panic. Eventually, the crowd will whittle down and you'll be able to make your move, stick with the pacer, and complete your objective. On the topic of pacers, I should also mention that while you might be expecting them to do equal splits and every single kilometre mile the same pace, they might have other ideas. One, they might be factoring in weaving, GPS drift, and going a little hotter than you're expecting, a little faster. Or they might be veterans of the route and might be attacking downhills while slowing on the uphills. So you can talk to your pacers beforehand. But yeah, if you don't manage to and they shoot off, maybe don't panic too much, as exerting yourself at that very early stage of a race is a recipe for disaster. Just like that, a rather steep bridge, and then we're back on the canal, ready for a K or so until we're off again.
YouTube.
It is! Wave! Gonna wave? Gonna wave? It is! You'll be on the internet! If there's one thing that newcomers to the marathon need to know, one piece of advice to take away, it is do not ignore the long run. It is the hardest part of the plan, but it's also the most important. On race day, if you're expecting to run 42k, 26 miles, comfortably, or just survive it without bumping that long run up, it's going to be catastrophic. So if you can only run once a week, which isn't advised, you're looking at 3 or more runs really for marathon training. But if you can only choose one run, make it the long run. And if you're looking to cut a run out, maybe you've got a niggle, definitely take a break during the week, cut one of those runs out, and just prepare yourself to get a good quality long run in, as that is what will make or break your performance on the day. Let's talk about the wall. Those two words that newcomers and veterans fear. The wall during the marathon is where your energy stores deplete and you crash. You crash hard. The science of it, I believe, is that you run out of stored carbs or fuel that's easy to burn, and then your body leans on fat, which is tougher to burn. And so carb loading days before is intended to stop that process, to make sure you're topped up. And then during the run, you'll be taking gels or something similar to keep topped up and never hit that wall. As for avoiding the wall, it's easier said than done. Like I said, yeah, just eat some food, take some gels. But when you hit 20 miles, when you hit 32K, that's also when you're at probably the furthest you've ever ran, and where the body's entered the unknown. And so cramps can begin, especially for me, and it can just be a scary place where you no longer like running anymore. That's enough, I'm done. 10K to go? Nah, I don't fancy that, thanks. A nice owl on that one. I believe it's primary school children that have decorated them. I should have probably done better research. Oh, here's another one. A scary fox. And then got another one just here. Let's see what we got. Oh, it's another fox. Beautiful stuff. Well, we're quite late into it to get a wet foot, so that's fine. But yes, the wall, it's very likely to come for you. You're very likely to hit it. I'd say out of the Strava graphs I see for marathon day, from both newcomers and veterans, I'd say 90% hit the wall, and it's a visible thing because you see their pace fall off an absolute cliff. And out of the 4 I've ran, I've only completed one without walking, and that was a sub 4. So walking, it comes for a lot of us, and we shouldn't look down on it at all. It's just part of that marathon experience. They are tough, and there's always this romantic idea, especially in your head as you're training, that you're going to smash it. These training runs have gone so well. You've completed 32K. What's 10 more K? Well, prepare for the toughest 10K that you'll have ever ran. This is not the easy run I had planned. Nice bit of trail uphill to end. But yeah, on the topic of hitting the wall and ending the marathon experience with a lot of walking, jogging, and just a miserable time, I'd say to avoid disappointment, know that that's a probability, and focus on the journey, not the destination. Focus on those 16 weeks, 20 weeks, however long your plan is, because that is where fitness is built. That is where you'll do parkrun PBs, and on the day, the marathon will just be a celebration of that. So yeah, it's easy to avoid disappointment if you don't put a major investment on the race itself. Nearly done. Back on the trail. What's that? Another fox. They've taken over, I tell you. Oh my word. This was meant to be easy. This was meant to be an easy end to a deload week. No pace planned on the Garmin. I've just put, just run. Run easy to feel. Record a video. Heart rate's going to go a bit higher. Oh my word. This was tougher than last time, I swear. I was slipping and sliding and swearing all over the mud. 17K, 3 to go. Glad I ran it this way around. I almost did it the other way, so we would have started with this. We would have started with wet shoes. So earlier we were on the Worcester Pitchcroft course, and now we're doing the Worcester Woods course backwards. The end is in sight, just the alley to go, and then we're done. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this rather chaotic video. I was running the wild About Worcester Way route while giving some tips on how to avoid disappointment in the marathon, especially if it's your first time. But in the end, you got some tips, you got the Worcester Way, and you got a very tired Mac who is very much awaiting his rest day tomorrow. And we'll take it easy ahead of another high mileage week of Manchester Marathon training. Here it is, here's the end. This is it. Oh. That's it, route complete. That's where I started, and that's where I finish. Thank you all for joining me. If you are training for a marathon, I hope it's going well. Happy running, and bye-bye.